I'm Jeff Rasley here in the wonderful city of Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm a writer, used to be a lawyer. I've had 8 books published. I organize Himalayan expeditions, trekking and mountaineering. I occasionally teach a class at Butler University on philanthropy. So, teaching college students how to give the money away that they don't have. Um, and I also do writing coaching, and I serve on 6 nonprofit boards.
So what is your writing process? Are you a planner, plotter? Are you somebody who writes stream of conscious? How do you work?
Well, I've probably experimented with each of those types, and so it really depends on the project. The last book I wrote was sort of a combination memoir and biography and an extended personal essay on the meaning of hero and how the concept of the hero has changed within our own culture. And so in that book, I had to do some research first. So I did a bunch of research, and then I started writing, longhand on a legal pad. And then after I got what I thought was sort of the heart of the book written, went to my computer and just started banging it out one chapter at a time, created a first draft. But in other books, I've used outlines, especially books that were based on adventures in the Himalayas. I would generally take my journal that I had kept on an expedition and then create an outline based on it, and then hit the computer and start trying to bang it out.
What are you most careful about when writing nonfiction?
I want to say is accuracy or the truth, getting the facts correct. But facts, although we like to think of them as sort of absolute, can actually be rather mushy. And especially if what you're using as fact is people's memory. And so, for example, there's an incident in the book that has 5 different people remembering that incident and relating their own experience of it. And there are 5 different versions. I mean, like the Rashomon movie, everybody in the movie has a different perspective and a different memory of the very same incident. So the conclusion I came to, especially through the course of working on Hero's Journey, is that that if what we call facts are what the experts say or what data says, you can quote that. I mean, you can reveal it, and if it's what people remember as like eyewitness testimony, which every trial lawyer, which I used to be, can tell you is never as reliable as the witness thinks it is. I still would say in a nonfiction, I want to be as true to what I think is my own perspective in presenting that, but also be honest in presenting other people's perspectives. And while the overall book is my voice, there are other voices that are going to be heard in it, and those are going to be respected even when they disagree with mine.
So give us one tip for gathering factoids for a book while still being able to be present in the moment and enjoying the experience.
Tip I would give to begin with is, search your own memory. Spend some time in contemplation, going back, peeling through the onion and the cobwebs of your memory, and whatever the incidents are that you want to relate, get those down on paper and cogitate on them, sleep on them, and make sure that they really reflect your truth.
Is there a strong demarcation line in starting a memoir? Is there a starting point that you should always start with?
I think, like a novel, there probably is a climax in your memoir. And so if there is, and if there isn't, I'm going to question whether it's worth writing. If it's just like a litany of, well, I did this and then I did that, it's probably not going to be very interesting.
So give me one similarity between being a lawyer and being a writer.
Well, first I'll start with a difference. Being a lawyer being a lawyer is icky. And of course, we can't say that about being a writer. But no, here's the one thing about being a lawyer that has really been helpful about being a writer, especially nonfiction. You learn in law school, and they call it, you learn how to think like a lawyer. And what that means is you learn how to gather the relevant facts. What's going on for this case that's really important? What are the relevant facts? So you got to gather those. And then you have to understand, okay, so what are the real issues here? What questions do these facts raise? And then you have to offer various solutions for those issues until you find the best. It may not be the absolutely right one, but it ought to be the best one.
So, is truth stranger than fiction? And if it is, how so?
Absolutely, in a lot of cases. I mean, just go on YouTube or watch the nightly news. I mean, the crazy things that happen every day in our world.
What do you think is your best positive value?
Other people have told me it's tolerance. It's the willingness to respect, to consider and to respect any other point of view, and to recognize my own finiteness, limitations. I don't know it all. I don't have absolute truth. And I don't think anybody else does. It would be so much easier for people to come together and solve problems, because where this leads, if you have that sort of compassionate, tolerant flexibility when it comes to solving problems, where that leads is, okay, we can really listen to each other, we can hear each other, nobody has a monopoly, and we can find some solution that maybe doesn't make everybody happy, but we can live with. My website is jeffreyrasley.com, JEFFREYRASLEY.com. And that has links to all of my books, also to the Bassa Village Foundation, which is a charitable organization that I founded and that works with remote villages in the Nepal Himalayas, and a lot of cool photos and stories about expedition adventures I've had. I have a course and authors page in Amazon, which if you just input my name into Amazon, you would find it. So, or just Google my name.
I'm really appreciative of you doing this with me today. Thank you so much for this.
Joe, I really appreciate it too, and thank you for inviting me. It's been wonderful talking to you, and I hope we'll get to do it again. I'll be watching you in the future. Right now, I'm coaching a friend with a book that's it's nonfiction. It's really almost, well, it is kind of an academic treatise on the quality and the problems of education in the U.S. And he's got all this great information, but it's kind of scattered because he hasn't followed that sort of formula of, okay, give me the important facts, not everything, but what's important. Okay, now what are the critical issues these raise, and then what are your solutions? Justify them. And so I'm working with him to try to get his thinking to focus in that way, which I think will really help his writing.
So tell me what your favorite volume of, well, I know it as In Search of Lost Time, but some people know it as Remembrance of Things Past, and I know that was a big book for you.
What's often reprinted as a short story, Swan's Song, because I read that before I read the entire In Search of Lost Time. I read it in college in a creative writing class. And I thought it was such a beautiful piece of literature. So for years, in the back of my mind was, I want to take that on. I want to read the whole damn thing. I got to a place where I want to do it, and I just set aside time every night for about 6 months or more, maybe 9 months. It took me to get through it, but I loved it. I mean, people have said, oh, climbing a Himalayan peak is this magnificent experience, and it is, but reading a piece of literature like that is also just this magnificent, mountaintop experience.